Hey guys, Professor Bill of Comic Book University and Captain America issue number 700. Okay, so let's get into this, and I can say straight ahead, this is going to be a very interesting review. And while I'm not planning on insulting anyone, I think some people may get insulted, but that's not on me. That's on them. So let's get started. This comic book, from the beginning to the end, portrayed a Captain America that I could barely recognize. I remember when Mark Waid started this story, and he said that he was a huge fan of Captain America, yet I'm having a hard time seeing how that fan base went. Anyway, basically, Captain America is trying to fight the best he can against the remaining forces of Rampart, but they are fighting back tooth and nail, and they're already so dug in deep. It's been like, what, 25 years now that they've had their heels dug firmly into the ground. They're rooted in. Like, you can't just, fight a couple of skirmishes and win. No, it's going to get rough. And at one point, a nuclear bomb is actually detonated. So, and that's actually in New York. So it's really bad. Really bad. And Bruce Banner and this other person, I forget her name. Actually, you know what? It's all the way at the end. I can find it really quick. Her name is Liang. She, what do you call it? They've got a device. It looks like a gun. It is a gun, basically. That's got the Fantastic Four, translation Doctor Doom's old time travel device. The technology there, and it's got just enough juice for one firing, one use. Anyway, so they're like, yeah, listen, Cap, we can send you back to about a week before you got frozen the second time so that you could, fight back against Rampart. And he's like, no, I refuse to do that. I want to fight. But once the bomb goes off, he's like, okay, fine. I give up. Yeah, let me go back. I overestimated. I overcompensated, and just whatever. I was wrong. Send me back. Cap gave up. He doesn't say I give up. He gave up. You know a man in defeat. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how big your shoulders are. When they're slumping, it's obvious to everyone. Captain America was defeated. Like, anybody could be defeated. Even Cap can admit defeat, whatever. But this was something else, man. Like, he was set. I don't like seeing Cap being that stubborn, especially not when he's talking about his country, because that's a little bit too conservative for me. All right? Now, I'm also going to state something. I'm going to actually tell you my political beliefs here because it's actually important for this comic book. I just said something was a little bit too right-leaning, a little bit too conservative for me, and I say that because I do lean left. I like to keep more middle. In reality, I am a liberal-minded progressive. All right? I believe in fair and equality for everyone, no matter who you are. I don't care about your gender, your sex, and yes, I do believe there's a difference between the two because I believe in science. I believe that there is climate change. I believe that regardless of your identity, your ethnicity, whatever, all of us, we all deserve equality, every single one of us, and to trample on the rights of one is to open the door for your rights to be trampled upon. So it's foolish for us to be turning in on each other, and if anything, it's more of a class warfare that's out there than anything else. So why do I say this? Because although I am left-leaning, I read something in here on the very first page that made me feel that this was just a little bit too far left. And by a little bit, I'm being very sarcastic. It was very left. You can't just slapdash a 250-year-old constitution written by a bunch of wealthy white landowners onto a post-Rampart, post-Babington hellscape. You can't just slapdash a 250-year-old constitution written by a bunch of wealthy landowners onto the current comic book universe. Okay. I'm going to read you something that I've never read on air before. It's not like I'm trying to hide it, just this was meant for me. But there's no reason why anybody else can't know this. This is my mission statement. I am a professor of English. and I have been a businessman, an international business worker. I have combined businesses and brought more landscape to businesses. I've worked in 5 countries on 3 different continents. All right, that's basically my claim to what I do. Besides my past as an electrical engineer, someone quoted, "You're Batman." I kind of am. Not really, but so for almost everything that I do, I make a mission statement. All right, that's just part and parcel. I'm gonna share with you my business, my mission statement. This is for Comic Book University, mind you. My goal as a content creator is to discuss and entertain comic book fans and seek to bring general fans to comics through various genres, vis-a-vis movies, video games, role-playing games, etc., and introduce them to comic books. I actually wrote an amendment to this mission statement. Only one. And this happened once I started realizing that there were certain other channels out there that like to, and you know their names. I'm not going to dignify them with by saying their names. I will not do that. But I think you know who I'm talking about. Basically, if it has SJW in the title of every single one of their videos, it's them I'm talking about. While being sometimes silly, I will maintain my own dignity by not insulting comics or their creators, while still maintaining my dignity, and reporting my likes and dislikes of said comics to my viewers. So I will be honest and say, I liked this, I didn't like that. I'm not going to sling an insult. That doesn't mean that people won't be insulted. Being insulted is not the same as insulting. Okay, I could say I didn't like your work and someone could feel slighted. That's not on me. That's on you and your childhood. All right, I'm simply saying I don't like your work, and that's what I'm going here. I'm not going to call Mark Waid any names. I would never do something like that. I have nothing but the utmost respect for this gentleman. He has written some of my favorite comic books in the past. Right now, however, heck, not even in the past, just the Champions run. I loved his run on the Champions. I love Mark Waid. I love Jim Zub also, but I'm kind of sad that Zub is jumping on this because that means that Waid is leaving. I loved him on the Champions. I don't care what other people think about it. That's not my business. Whether you like something or dislike something, or you agree with me or disagree with me, that has nothing to do with me. That's on you. That's on every single one of my viewers. That's on anybody. I like what I like, you like what you like. And that's that. If you agree, and the reason why I'm not just going to say, hey, I like this comic book, thanks for watching, sub and share and like and blah, 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 blah. No, that's not what I do. It's not what I'm here for. I state whether I like or dislike something, like I'm doing with this comic book, and then I will state my reasons why. You can agree with me or disagree with me. I will have the concourse, I will have the conversation with you. I love those conversations, but I will not respond to someone who's, oh, that's just a stupid opinion because blah, blah, blah. You can disagree. It's cool, baby. I will love your comment because I love the difference of opinion. I will not sit here and try and shut someone down for having a different opinion than me, but I will not be shut down by someone otherwise. At the same time, that also includes for people who may, look, I've never met Mr. Waid, unfortunately. I've never met him. I would love to meet him. I would love to have him sign one of his comic books for me. You know what I'm saying? Made out to me. I'm not looking to sell his signature. No, I wanted to make it out to Professor Bill. Hey, such and such and such. This is me. You know, I'd love to shake his hand. I have nothing but the utmost respect for this gentleman. I've also at the same time heard that he's got one heck of a temper. So I don't know if he's going to like this review or dislike this review. I don't know. But the reason why I'm getting so into this is because I think that this is a very horribly written comic book. And that includes the back end of this. The back end, which is Stan Lee's art, which he puts his own writing over. I just don't... I could tell that it's 2 different time periods being stated. I mean, Kirby drawing his bad guys with the Nazi, you know, spike helmets on top and then the modern writing. It's just, it's overtly different. It's not the same, and it's strange. It's weird, and just he calls somebody an ass. Like, I don't remember. Look, maybe Captain America did. Please point out if I'm wrong. I have no problems admitting I'm wrong. You know, but I don't remember Captain America ever calling somebody an ass before like that in a comic book. Like, really? So look, you know who you've heard of, like, taste testers, not just taste testers, but what are they called? The people who go into restaurants, the food critics. There we go, right? I'm thinking Ratatouille, that movie. Every single person in the world loves a food critic, whether you agree with them, disagree with them, you want to read their or watch their, the reports on the local restaurants and blah, blah, blah. There's only one person who doesn't like a food critic, and that is the chef when he's having a bad day. Okay, look, if the chef is great, he loves the food critic. He's friends with the food critic. Maybe he's not friends with the food critic. The food critic is going to try and avoid knowing the chef because it might change his opinion. Oh, he's a nice guy. I can't give him a bad review. You know what I'm saying? Now, food critic has to be loyal to his audience because it's his reputation on the line. This is my reputation on the line. If I sit here and tell you, this is a really good comic, blah, 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 you're never going to trust me again. And I don't blame you. But I'm telling you right now, I did not like this comic in any way, shape, or form. And why did I read my mission statement to you more specifically? General reason, you know why. But very specifically, it's because of this. You can't just slapdash a 250-year-old constitution written by a bunch of wealthy white landowners, onto post-rampant, post-Babington hellscape. Yes, the originators of the Constitution were white. Yes, they were landowners. There's a saying that existed way back in the day. You may have heard it on Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? With George Clooney in it. The saying goes exactly like this. You ain't no kind of man if you ain't got land. That's the way it was back then. That's the way it was. There were many ways, for white people at least, to get land back day. William Penn, if you've heard of him, he is his namesake is Pennsylvania. Sylvania meaning woods. Penn's Woods. William Penn's Woods. He bought Pennsylvania. He was a very wealthy person, and he wanted to help out the white people who were taking this land from red-skinned people. You know what I'm saying? I'm part Cherokee. My ancestry suffered terribly because of that nonsense. But he literally bought all of this and said, I will sell 1 penny for each acre of land that somebody wants. So if one person wants an acre of land, give me a penny and build a habitat on there. Now, a lot of people cheated and they had like habitats on wheels. They had a little domicile that they built on wheels and, whatever. They drove it through and was like, okay, I got all 40 of these acres. These are my acres, man. And that's how a lot of land in Pennsylvania was done. I get it. But like there were a lot of instances like that where it was easy for people to buy land so that they could defend their own land from the natives who were dubbed savages, so they were trying to take back their land. Look, I get that. But yes, they were wealthy white landowners, and landowners was important because that was the most important part of being somebody back then. By today's standards, it's very different. And look, let's make no mistake, the Constitution is a living Constitution, all right? If the Constitution were perfect, it wouldn't have amendments. Okay, but it is a living Constitution, and it is a living Constitution, meaning that you can change the Constitution through amendments or flat out erase something. Look, I know this sounds like it's what do you call it, blasphemy, but it's not a religious document. The provision to change the Constitution is in the Constitution itself, and yes, that does mean shredding the entire Constitution and rewriting it. You don't believe me? Ask a constitutional lawyer, they're not easy to come by, or research it yourself. A vote can be taken to completely abolish this Constitution as long as a new Constitution is written in its place. So this isn't a terribly big deal. It's not that big of a deal. So I get it. And I'm not like, oh, you've insulted the Constitution. It takes a lot to insult me. But bad writing is bad writing. And that written, like all that I just did to explain what I said, if I were to just simply say, I don't like that he said that, you're going to assume whatever you want of me. Now at this point, if you assume anything about my opinion on the Constitution, it's 100% on you because I've explained myself. This was not explained. So this literally just looks like, what? What does this look like? The interpretation is completely up to you. So I have to ask myself, when Mark Waid took up the assignment for Captain America after Nick Spencer departed and before Ta-Nehisi Coates takes over, tell me something. Did he write up a mission statement for what he wants this individual story to be? because I personally, and who the hell am I? I've never written a professional comic book. The last time I wrote a comic book, I was a kid handing it out to my friends. You know what I'm saying? Tried to sell them for a quarter until the teacher was like, you can't do that. So, you know, it's like, okay, fine. It's a gift. You know what I'm saying? To my buds. But I mean, for crying out loud, dude, don't you write some kind of a mission statement and then check your work to see if it matches that mission statement? This literally looks like, and I mean, I've got to look at this as best I can. At one point, there's a bad guy in here. Shapiro's entire squad is down. Cap, what do we do? What? What? That's an interesting choice for a name. Take of it what you will. Look, this comic book is very poorly written. This series, this run by Mr. Wade is poorly written. I like the first 2 or 3 issues where Cap was going around to different towns and trying to fix and right wrongs and things like that. It's great, but this is something else entirely. This is a 20-minute video of me saying how much I strongly disapprove of this comic book ever passing editorial. This is a thick comic book. This is a centennial issue. Issue 700. People who don't even collect comics, well, I shouldn't say that. People who aren't intelligent comic book collectors will collect a centennial issue thinking, of course it's going to go up in value. I cannot see something like this going up in value much more than $5, and I'm talking 100 years from now, unless it's something like, you know, the Golden Turkey Award. You know what I'm saying? Like Plan 9 from Outer Space, man. Everybody loves that movie for all the wrong reasons. I have a feeling people are going to love this comic book for all the wrong reasons. And I hope I'm wrong. But this is a terrible comic book. Terrible. The art was never good to begin with. It was never good to begin with. And I've stated that. It's not a style you have to get used to. It's just simply not good art. Sorry. Criticism. What do you call it? And the writing. This is, in my opinion, this is Mark Waid at some of his worst. I hate the negativity. I do. But anyway, that's it for me, guys. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.